Sunday night, I'm drinking wine.
Hey Love You Talkers, episode 20. Woo woo! We did it! I can't believe we are at episode 20, and as always, we are here to dish the dirt on all things living abroad in your late 20s, almost early 30s for Maggie and myself. And why do I sound like I'm on a talk show or a fucking game show? Anyway, we are here every single week bringing you unique content. But before we start, just a heads up that we don't speak the Queen's English here at Labia Talk. We speak, a different type of English where no topic is off limits and no language is off limits. So you were warned, and if this is not your cup of tea, well, then you better fuck off right now. What about that introduction, Maggie? Hello.
I loved that. That was our best one yet, I think. How are you doing, Ollie?
How's it going? I'm a bit stressed after that.
It's all quite overwhelming. Wow,
I know.
that was a
Should we do a
brilliant
cheers?
showmanship. Absolutely. Cheers!
Cheers!
High five! What are you drinking,
What are you
babes?
drinking? Oh, I'm drinking Budweiser.
I'm drinking Camden Hells 1 week on. I'm still on the Camden Hells. It's nice
Oh my
and
God,
cold,
you must
this one,
be
though.
You must have the biggest hangover. Still drinking that.
Pissed. I'm absolutely pissed.
It's Sunday night, I'm
Don't know what time it is, what day it is. I love in life.
How is? Speaking of life, how is life, Maggie? I do miss you every day.
God. Oh, Ollie, I miss you so much. I miss your organization. I miss your very frantic cooking. I miss you making your eggs and eggs Benedict in the morning and doing the Joe Wixes with you. I do miss that a lot. I do.
Yeah.
How about you, honey? How's it going over in Rio de
Yeah, I'm
Janeiro?
good. Well, I'm still a little bit under the weather.
I think that went up my nose. I'm
dying.
so sorry.
So that was the wrong time to say it. Maggie was drinking.
I'm sorry. Ollie, the antibiotics are still waiting to kick in here.
I know. No, but I'm still good. Rio is okay. Things are kind of opening up a little bit, and I'm seeing a lot of different parties on Instagram, which is... I don't know how I feel about it because, if people have been listening to the news, Brazil's variant kills people our age, and I've had friends of friends die. I don't know these people, but I've had friends of friends die from the new variant in Brazil. So, I don't know. I think, attitudes towards this virus, and, we spoke about it the other week where we are kind of relaxed about it. We're silly.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. But, at what point do we... I don't know, stay at
Stop,
home?
right? Stay at home. I completely agree with you as well. I honestly think if the government is not sending out that kind of message, why should the onus be on the individual? I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, to a certain extent, we're individuals with our own sort of, we can make our own decisions. We're all grown adults, whatever. But I think it's the government's responsibility to be, telling people to stay at home, to be telling people to take these measures. And if they're not, then you can't blame people for naturally wanting to go out and socialize after what's been a year of, absolute isolation for most people. So I get it.
Speaking of lockdowns, I hear that the UK has started to open up. How is life back in London, Maggie? Are you enjoying it?
Wow. Oh my God. It's so different, Ollie. So basically this Monday, Boris Johnson, our president, I was going to say, our prime minister, he's such an oaf. An oaf and ogre of a prime minister basically has relaxed the laws a little bit, which means that non-essential retailers and pubs and restaurants with outdoor dining spaces are able to reopen. Of course, everybody just heard the word pub, and that's really been the news of the week. It's been really nice, Ollie. As you know, you've been to the UK. Pub culture is a really big deal for us. You just go and sit in a pub garden and have a beer, and I've had the opportunity to do that twice this week, although the temperatures aren't exactly matching our usual April standards, but it's okay. Hopefully that will come later.
Yeah, one thing I do really like about the UK is pub culture and stuff like that. But, Maggie, you've been home for 2 or 3 months now, and, do you want to move abroad again, or like what's the go?
Oh God, yeah. I absolutely it's been on I'm dying to come back to this part of the world, definitely come back to Latin America as soon as possible. And that's why I was really keen to explore with you today, Ollie, like what it's like to move abroad to a foreign country in the first place, what it's like to, the realities of actually packing your bags, leaving the comforts of your home. For me, the comforts of the UK, for you, the comfort of Australia, and moving to the other side of the world. So the idea, of packing your bags, saying goodbye to your old mundane 9 to 5 job is really enticing to a lot of people. People dream about moving to a tropical destination in another corner of the world. So that's really what I want to delve into today. But of course, once the honeymoon period wears off, how do you really cope with the realities of living abroad? There's the inevitable homesickness. You miss home comforts, you miss the convenience. What's it like sustaining a new social circle and dealing with everyday mundane tasks like paying the bills or, getting a cleaner and all these like bureaucratic things? So that's why I really want to delve into this today with you. And if you listen to the end, we will definitely share some first-hand tips to tell you about what it's like to move abroad. But before we get started, we have a very special shout out.
Yeah, and I'm very excited to obviously get into that main topic because it's something that like is really we can really speak about from experience. But I'm also excited to give this shout out. And this person is a great listener, a loyal listener of Labia Talk, that they actually share the podcast with us. And today's shout out goes to Alice in Bolivia. We want to say thank you. Yeah, let's give you a round of applause. We want to say thank you so much. We really appreciate you sharing our stories with your followers. Like, we don't expect people to share our stories, but we really appreciate, like, if Labia Talk can reach a larger audience. And the help that Alice has given Labia Talk is really, really thankful. We thank you for that, and we hope you are still listening, and we hope you are enjoying Labia Talk with us. And don't forget, if you want to get a shout out on the podcast, make sure you head over to Labia Talk Podcast on Instagram or Facebook and leave us a message, follow us, and we can shout you out on the podcast too. Lovely, isn't it, Maggie, that she was able to share that with us?
She is such a fantastic lady. We absolutely love Alice. She's a beautiful, beautiful person. So thank you so much for supporting us. We love you. Thank you.
Great tattoos. And, she's from Bolivia, and we moved to Bolivia. And that leads me on to the burning question. So, what is it really like to move to a foreign country, Maggie? You've done it twice, right? Oh my God, you're so experienced.
So have you, darling. So have you. I know, even though you've just like hopped the border, I've kind of moved a little bit further than you. If it's a competition, I know how, like, excuse me, Ollie, you love a competition.
Actually, I've lived. Well, if we're going to talk about competitions, I've lived in the UK, I've lived in France, I've lived in Bolivia, I've lived in Brazil, I've lived in Australia. So, I think I win, right?
Here we go. I know I could get the competitive streak out of you, though, if I really wind you up. That's what I love. But yeah, no, I mean, we've got first-hand experience. And I mean, I think we're probably, I don't know about you, but I think we're probably talking more in the vein of a foreign country that's very different to your native country, right?
Totally. Like, where the language is different, where I know, we use the word foreign, but it's just completely different to everything that you're used to. Bureaucracies.
A different cultural experience. Yeah, because
Totally.
I'm sure your experience of moving abroad to the UK for a temporary amount of time and living abroad, of course, in France are very different to moving to Bolivia.
Totally.
Or to Brazil.
Totally. I mean, France has, the bureaucracy there is obviously a lot more difficult, and I think there's that language barrier as well. I think, like, moving to the UK, it was totally, comfortable for me because, if you have a problem, you can negotiate in English. Whereas if you go to France or if you go to the UK, if you go to Bolivia or Brazil or Mexico, there's that extra added challenge of negotiating the language barrier. So, it's a really interesting topic.
It is. And I wonder, sorry, before we delve in a little bit deeper, I'm kind of curious. You've kind of like piqued my interest because I know the Brits aren't very well received by the French, but do the French have any clue about the Aussies and how are you guys received?
Well, I just think, correct me if I'm wrong, and if you're from France and you're listening to this saucy, spicy podcast, for me, I think French people are quite cold and welcoming. And it goes back to I'm sure we'll talk about this, like creating a social circle. When I lived in France for 6 months, I made no French friends. Like, zero French friends because, yeah,
No.
like, it was just really difficult.
Sacre
and they weren't
bleu,
open.
sacre bleu.
Sacre bleu. No. I don't know.
No. I'm sorry, I don't know French words. That's all I know.
But no,
Down.
other than being like an awesome and amazing adventure, there are some difficulties into moving into a foreign country. Maggie, I'm trying to be serious here, and you're being a fucking bitch.
Hey, I'm so sorry.
Sorry, that was the wrong word. I'm enjoying your laughter, actually.
Oh, good.
You're a bit jolly today,
I
aren't
hope
you?
so. Well, that's why I'm trying to get you on my level. I am a bit jolly.
Oh.
It's the
Yeah, I
weekend.
know.
I've had a few bevies and love and life. That's it, isn't it? But yes, no, Ollie, completely. And I think you are touching on those difficult parts of what it's like to live abroad. And what for you are like the most difficult aspect of living abroad? Because at the moment, I'm back at home in the UK. So I'm having a temporary hiatus. But you tell me at the moment, what are you finding the most challenging about living in Rio de Janeiro?
Being sick without healthcare. No, I guess like the most difficult aspect for me is I'm currently in a job where I don't work for a Brazilian company. So visas is a really important issue, and not having anyone who you can talk to about your visas. I think like bureaucracy is the most challenging part of living abroad, and like finding somebody who can help you with that is a big thing. So for me, bureaucracy, and because each country has different processes, different ways, and especially in Bolivia, that was a fucking nightmare. Like having people lining up since 4 a.m. to like get this stupid thing signed, or, photocopies of their passport and pictures of themselves. Like, it was just a nightmare. Do you know what? I think moving to a country and by myself without knowing the bureaucracy is something that I would definitely consider not doing, because like I would never move to Bolivia as like if a business wasn't going to sponsor me, because it's just a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, I completely second that. I think even with the experience that we had, being employed by a Bolivian business, it's still a long process to become legal, to become working legally in the country. I think that's a difficult part, definitely.
And that goes on to our next point about like trying to create a social circle that can help you in navigating life, like whether it be from the bureaucracy to the norms of how life is done. Like, because like the culture is different and the way things are done here. Like going to the supermarket in Bolivia, in Mexico, and Brazil is different than going to the supermarket in Australia. Going to the bank is different, isn't it?
Oh God, don't get me started on any banks or anything. It's so strange to me. I remember when I was in Bolivia and you would say, oh, okay, I've got to go pay the gas bill at the supermarket, or I've got to go pay the electricity bill at the whatever. And I was like, huh, what? Everything is so much more analog. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but like, not
Backwards.
digital. Backwards, yeah. Everything is about like 10 or 15 years backwards in terms of processes and technology and these kind of things. And yeah, it's just like a whole other kettle of fish to be dealing with. And I think it's very important to have just that foundational group of friends, a network of people, not even friends, but like a network of people that you know and that can like help you in your first few weeks of orienteering and settling into a new place. So I personally, I don't know, Ollie, I found like expat groups useful and handy for some of my questions, especially the expats in Bolivia group I know is not as active as the expats in Merida group, for example.
Wow.
Because there's a whole, which kind of, you realize just how many more expats I guess are in Mexico, because there's expat groups for individual cities. Oh, Ollie.
Sorry.
Midway. There are expat groups for individual cities existing on Facebook in Mexico, whereas in Bolivia, it's just the expats. And you did that deliberately in the mic that time. I saw you, babe. Interrupting my flow, babes.
No, I'm enjoying it.
Whereas, expats in Bolivia is just expats in Bolivia. I realized
With
just...
weird political fucking
Oh god,
propaganda.
that Miranda, that freak. I can name drop. She's a weirdo. Miranda, you're absolute psycho. You also look like you're Amish.
Not the Miranda that we both
Oh
know.
no, we love our Miranda. This Miranda looks like some weird Amish, I don't know what, stranger.
Thing that you have different expat groups for different cities.
Yeah. So there's expats in Merida, there's expats in Mexico City, etc.
So do you think you could have survived? Like, I think we were both lucky in you living in Bolivia and Mexico, and me in Bolivia and Brazil. We both had a network, right? We both had people we knew before we arrived there. Do you think if you didn't have that network of friends, that this expat group could have assisted you in all of your needs? Is that possible that you can rely on people's opinions on the internet?
Because
No, because I know like there's so much misinformation and like not fake news, but like people who have different experience with bureaucracy, because like bureaucracy here is so like, I don't know, what's the word? Elastic.
Yeah, it totally is. It totally is. And Ollie, I completely agree with you. I'm like, why should I trust the opinion of somebody just behind a screen on Facebook? And to a certain extent, these people in these expat groups, at the end of the day, they're like you and I. They're gringos. They're basically extranjeros, or however you say it in Portuguese. Extranjeros living in Latin America and South America. And actually, sometimes the opinion of the locals is the one you should trust, isn't it?
True. And, I've also, like, if we put the shoe on the other foot and, like, we're encouraging people to, like, form a social group, I've seen, beautiful examples of people just not even saying yes to the idea of having a social group. And, if you don't put yourself out there and, meet people that, like, you're moving to a different country for a reason. And, like, the people that you meet and the people that you live with, they might not necessarily be the typical people that you're gonna that you would call friends.
Yeah.
And definitely with this person who didn't put herself out there, I would definitely I wish I knew more about her, because she would never have lived in my apartment with me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, there was a bit of a dishonest campaign there. So.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think it's such a gamble, isn't it? Like when you move abroad, because a lot of the times the jobs that you and we are talking about, teaching abroad or this kind of industry, it very much is quite a fast turnover, quick turnover. People get into these jobs because they want to live abroad in these very desirable, tropical, beautiful, scenic countries, whether that is Latin America or whether that's Southeast Asia, whether that's, you know what I mean? And actually, when it comes down to the person themselves, the person and their personal qualities, those are not the same qualities you would go for when you're looking for a flatmate back in Australia or back in the UK.
No, it's kind of like, you get what you're given.
Yeah, you just kind of settle for it, right? You don't even think about it. Like when I was moving into this keep talking like I'm here in the UK. When I was moving into my house in Mexico, I had no idea really what my flatmates were going to be like, or like my housemates were going to be like. And yeah, that's what you get.
It's
no comment.
It's a gamble, and we were
Robin,
quite lucky.
I love you.
We were quite lucky with like Melinda and me and you in 2019, but things took a turn in 2020 for the worse. Obviously coronavirus, but also we had another virus in the house. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that.
It just lands really beautifully though, doesn't it?
It does.
It does. What can I say?
Can we pause there? I need to get a beer.
Sunday night, I'm drinking.
I want to continue on because, like, if people don't put themselves out there, are they homesick? What you in particular, what things do you miss from home when you're abroad?
Sure. I actually think that there's a big obligation for yourself to put yourself out there when you do move abroad, because you can get really into your head. You can get really caught up in feeling like you're so far away from home, which you are, of course. And I think it's your duty to really get to know the place and to get to know the people. So for that reason, I honestly think it is important to put yourself out there. And what I tend to miss a lot when I'm away from home is like it's the little things, right? As cheesy as it sounds, but I miss a cup of tea. I miss a good old cup of tea with a little bit of splash of milk and, this kind of thing. I miss being able to go on.
Can you not drink tea in Bolivia and Mexico?
Oh, Ollie, the tea is not the same.
Is it not?
You know that? Oh my goodness me! Have you not realised? Whenever I was making, are you serious? When I was making cups of tea in Bolivia, the black tea is not like a Yorkshire tea. It's not the same, babes. And they don't sell. I know in Bolivia they definitely don't. I think maybe in Mexico in certain supermarkets, in these like supermarkets that stock European or like extranjero produces, they may stock some Yorkshire tea bags, but otherwise these products basically are just non-existent for you the whole time you live abroad, and you've just got to accept that you're going to miss them the whole time. So for me, it's the little things, and food is such an important thing for me. Like, I love food, so I do just tend to miss like Polish cooking. My family's Polish, so I miss my mum's Polish cooking. I miss, this kind of stuff. What about you? I don't know. Is that the same for you, or are there like other things you tend to think about more?
Nope. I think I only just miss like being able to like call or message my mum whenever I can. I mean, I do that anyway, but I guess just family. I kind of like, I'm a live in the moment kind of guy, and people who are present in my life at the moment who get my attention. And, I love my friends and I love everybody, but I don't miss much, I mean, I've almost been away for 2.5 years, and I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm like ready to go home and, be home for a little while, but I've got the expat heart. So no, I don't miss too much. It's really sad.
I know, you always told me that as well. I remember that very clearly. I remember two things. I remember the thing you told me last week when we spoke about going out with somebody who doesn't speak English on a date.
Oh, yes.
So I remember that thing you told me. And I also remember you telling me that as well, that you don't really miss people or things that much, which is good. I think it's a good way to be.
I don't know if it's really, I don't know if it's selfish, but yeah, it's just the way I feel, It's just the way it is. I mean, it kind of like leads on to the next question. Like, if I'm so comfortable living abroad, and, is it possible to like forge a life forever abroad? And like, I've seen it done before. What do you think, Maggie?
Yeah, I really do think it is. I honestly do. Like, there's nothing that really roots me to one place. I honestly feel like I am, in the most cheesy sense of the word, like a bit of a nomad, right? Ollie, you laugh into your mic. You just offend me. I'm so offended right now. I'm literally bearing my soul.
You're a global citizen. I love it, Maggie.
I'm a global citizen. But
yeah.
no, honestly, I honestly feel if you are happy in one place, why do you feel the need to move back home or move back somewhere else, right?
Totally.
If you're genuinely happy somewhere, I honestly think it is possible to live there forever. What about you? Where are you standing on this?
Well, I totally stand on the same platform as you. The train to, global citizenship, or the plane to global citizenship. Yeah, I totally believe it, and it's really funny because
oh, honey.
I asked one of our friends in Bolivia, and I said to this person who's a gringo, I said, "Are you happy here?" And this person said, "Oh, what do you mean?" And I said, like, "Are you happy living here? Do you think like you'll ever move?" And this person said, "I'm happily situated here." And that just goes to show that, like, yeah, I mean, if you're happy and you have everything you want, you have a good job, you have good friends, you have good people around you, and you're able to fly back. Obviously, like in the current world, it's not possible. But like the fact that if you're able to see your family every so often, I think it is really possible. And I think it's why not? Like, I think there's a lot of like people who, go to university, get a 9 to 5 job, work that 9 to 5 job for the rest of their lives, and they, they're comfortable and they earn lots of money and they're very happy, but like they travel for like 3 or 4 weeks a year, and it's like the rest of the year they're like, oh, I wish I was on holidays again. Well, I'm on holidays 365 days a year. Yeah.
Exactly. So why not just do it, right? Why not just, Ollie? And you're like painting a very sort of, I guess to a lot of people, you're making it sound so simple and you're making it sound so idyllic, Oh, why don't I just like pack up all my bags and move abroad to like, I don't know, Hawaii or somewhere? Oh, fuck it. Let me just go move abroad and live in Costa Rica. But I honestly think like, yeah, initially it is so beautiful and you do have that kind of honeymoon period. Living, moving abroad. But then what is it really like once, the honeymoon wears off, and it does, like after a month or two, and then the realities kick in. What are the realities like for you?
Good question. Do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, like for me, I think it's the everyday kind of things, the mundane tasks. Paying your bills. For example, I was in Mexico when we had the hurricane season, and we had quite a severe hurricane just bypass us. I'm going to say it hit us because it sounds cooler. I'm going to say I lived through a hurricane because it sounds much cooler than I just missed a hurricane and had a tropical storm instead. So yeah, so I lived through a hurricane, and I just remember the damp problem that I had in my room, and my ceiling was literally leaking. And then for like days afterwards and weeks afterwards, we called whoever we were meant to call. They were meant to come and fix it. And they were just like, no, we've got to wait for the rain to stop before we can paint over your like walls. No, we're just going to wait for the rain to stop. And for example, and so, these kind of mundane things that you think you can get sorted like that back home, just it doesn't happen. Forget it. Yeah, Latin time, exactly. It's like, oh, when are you going to do it? Oh, ahorita. Ahorita means nunca. Like never ever, jamás. And I don't, you remember as well, Ollie, like our good old technician or technician or handyman or whatever you want to call him, very unhandy man. Unhandy man in Bolivia. I'm so sorry, Luke and Joe, but you could hire someone a bit better than them to like repair our things. And God, that fridge as well. Do you remember the fridge, Ollie? The fridge and then the washing machine. Oh, the old washing machine that leaked so much. So, these are the things that really kind of hit you when you live abroad.
No, actually, I agree with that. When you're talking about like getting like Latin time, people are just so relaxed, or like you're actually like in like a phone shop, or you're in a bank, or you're in a restaurant, and the person working will recognize that you're there, but they will just like choose to sit on their phone or do something else and like make you wait. And like, bitch, cunt, I'm here. Like, serve me. I have a number. Like, I've got somewhere to be. So it's kind of like the relaxed way of doing things, especially in South America, is what I can agree with that, Maggie.
Yeah. I think that's the main thing for me. That just always, I have to remember, it's always going to aggravate me a little bit, but just going to be exercise some patience. It's fine.
I tell you what also I don't like about living here is trash. In Bolivia, on the ground, there was trash all over. It's such a, people just don't respect the environment. And I was walking through like the beach area here, and you've been to Rio and you know what it's like, but there is just, they serve plastic drinks on the beach and stuff like that, and people don't actually put it in the bin, and there's plastic everywhere. And I went to an island, Ilha do Governador, which is kind of like near the international airport, and I looked over in the water and it's just full of plastic, and I was like,
God,
what the fuck is wrong with people? How can you like just put your plastic in the bin? It's not hard.
That's so I
think
sad.
I think Australians and British people aren't perfect, but I think we have I don't want to say, like, I think we have a greater sense of awareness of, it comes across as a bit arrogant and, again, imperial, but I honestly feel that, like, that's the truth.
No, I think what you're trying to say is basically, and I do agree with you. I think what you're trying to say is that we've got the education about these things. We are educated about recycling, and we just genuinely have the resources to be able to reduce our plastic consumption. Whereas, unfortunately, Bolivia and Brazil are like not centuries, are like decades behind, unfortunately, when it comes to recycling. And it's just not it's not the priority in these countries, right? There's like so many other issues happening. Like this is just like not the priority. So I do agree with you. That was a bit of like, whoa, a culture shock. A culture shock, I would say, a culture shock when I first arrived in Bolivia. And then I knew it in Mexico. And my flatmates in Mexico, they obviously had never lived anywhere apart from the UK. So they were completely alien to this. And I was like, Ollie, and I was like, well, guys, I'm sorry, you can't just recycle your things. I'm sorry, we're just gonna throw it in, the bin, unfortunately. Yeah. So
Yeah, and right now we have like a compost bin like that's separate, and eventually we want to get like a compost to put out in our little patio. But it's really sad like that we're composting, but we're also putting it in the same garbage that everything else goes down in. So it's kind of like, what's the point? But I see the point of it. It's kind of like,
yeah.
So like, I guess like the things that we take for granted back home in our first world countries are things that really annoy me here. But like, I think I'm used to it. I think I'm a Latino now. I mean, I would never leave plastic on the beach. And like, if I'm on the beach, I'll pick up plastic. So don't get me wrong.
That's awful. That's such a, yeah, absolutely. Like, oh, come on. It's Rio de Janeiro, like one of the most beautiful beaches in the world as well over there. And I know you've kind of touched on it as well, like the little things that you're doing to like try and improve your experience here living abroad. But what kind of tips, Ollie, would you give to like somebody moving abroad for the first time?
I am really big on like budgeting, just to like, because you really don't know the exchange rate to start off with, and it might take you a little bit while to get used to things. So when you arrive, I would download Travel Spend. It's a free app. It's normally for backpackers, but you can use it as like a monthly budgeting app just to check your costs, and do that for the first few months to see how much you're spending, and then you can assess on like what you can cut down on, what you can add on to. So I definitely think that's a really good tip. What do you think, Maggie?
Absolutely. I mean, you were the one who sold Travel Spend to me, and I've been using it religiously while I've been living in Mexico and Bolivia. So it's a really good one, definitely. I mean, for me, the main ones, I honestly think it's very good to join an expat group. So I've been an active member in the Expats in Bolivia group. Active member. Well, sorry, I don't know why I said active member. I've been a member of the Expats in Bolivia group for quite a while now. Still am. And I'm a member of the Expats in Merida group. And just joining these groups on Facebook, for me, they have been an invaluable resource to what it's like really living day to day as a gringo in these countries. And it's been quite handy for like little things that you don't really know. For example, where you go to pay your bills, or like knowing about some national holidays, public holidays. I saw like an interesting post about people who wanted to tip the bin men or tip their cleaners. So little things like this, I think the group is really handy for. And of course, just to get to know other people who are doing the same thing as you are. As important as it is to meet, obviously, nativos, people actually living in these countries, it's also important to have some people you can relate to and talk in your native language, right? So...
Absolutely. I totally agree. Like, you talking just then, you've raised some really good points. So I think like points that I would never even thought about. So yeah, that's really nice. And we have one more tip, and it's like, if you move to a country that has a foreign language, you should actively learn the language, right, Maggie?
That's the most important thing, I definitely think. You can't be a bystander. You're in that country, you've got to respect the culture, you've got to learn the language. 100%.
Exactly. And if you head on over to our Instagram at Labutalk Podcast, we have 2 extra bonus tips for you there that you can listen to on how some tips about moving abroad for the first time. So yeah, make sure you give us a follow when you head over there. Maggie, what a great conversation. We're so formal these days on Labutalk.
I know, look at us. I'm very proud of us, I feel like we really deep dived there.
We are changing the world.
We are transforming it. One episode at a time, one burp at a time. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Ollie. And yeah, if you want to listen to more, check us out on our socials at Labutalk Podcast, on Instagram and on Facebook. And you can also write to us at labbytalkpodcast@gmail.com. Ollie, it's been an absolute joy talking to you this evening. I've had so much fun.
Me too. I'm so happy that Labby Talks back, and I'm happy that we've got some loyal listeners, and we love you, and I love you, and I can't wait to be reunited with you one day. I'll see you next episode, Maggie.
See you next episode. Thank you so much, Ami, for the music, and Alejandra Gonzalez, muchas gracias for the logo design. Speak to you later, Ollie. Have a good evening. Ciao.
If